You didn't want me fighting. Now look at me. Standing up to evil isn't the same as sowing its seeds. You did what was right.
Catch him!
God be with you.
Is there anything suspicious going on in these parts?
Indeed there is. Around here? You should hear about what Vashek the groom has been up to at the stables. When the head groom told the lads here, they fell off their seats laughing. Oh, and another thing. Just last night, Father Godwin was here, calling fire and brimstone down on old Gertrude, the herb woman. He's not one to make a fuss over some trifle either.
I'm looking for a fellow who lives here, but I don't know his name. Do you know anyone with a limp?
What would you want with him? Well, it's no skin off my nose. The bastard has a cottage on the edge of the village by the road to Ratai.
Good day to you.
I'd like to learn to read.
You? You don't look like the makings of a priest or clerk. But why not? I've taught all sorts. Bear in mind, it won't be all that easy. You'll need plenty of time and a few groschen for my trouble.
All right. I don't want to waste time. We can get started. The sooner I master it, the better.
Very well. I will require some groschen from you, though, and set aside at least a couple of days so I can put you through your paces, if indeed time is of the essence.
Here are your groschen.
Then we may as well start. No. He did break his vow, but better than to dishonor it here. May he follow his heart. Wake up, lad. It's time we were getting on. So, let's see you read a bit. There's a book here on the table. Try to read it.
Will I manage?
You ought to be able to. It's a simple text. Come back once you've worked your way through it.
I've read the book.
Wonderful. So tell me, what have you learned?
That being greedy doesn't pay.
Excellent. You're one of my most talented pupils. You've uncovered the meaning hidden in the letters. Like I told you, books are valuable, and the words that you place in them ought to be no less so.
Does that mean that I can read then?
Yes, you have the foundation. Remember, my boy, the pen is mightier than the sword. To fully learn your way around words will take a lot more reading yet. Now we'll move on to the second lesson, which will be much harder. Many books are written in Latin, the language of erudite and religious men. If you really want to be able to read, there's no getting away from Latin. There's a book on the table with some text. Read it and then come back. You need not understand it, but you should master the letters.
I only just managed the fable about the goose, and now you're asking me to tackle Latin.
You're a clever lad. You'll manage.
I read the page.
So tell me, Poulet, what's written there?
Nullus est liber tam malus, ut non lique parte prosit.
Good heavens! Don't tell me you haven't had lessons before. Excellent. Well, there's nothing more I can teach you. Congratulations. You can go and be ordained right away.
Thank you, Domine. I'm feeling a lot wiser.
I'm looking for a fellow who lives here, but I don't know his name. Do you know anyone with a limp?
Must be that farmhand Lubosz. I don't know what the hell you'd want him for, and I don't much care. He's got a cottage on the edge of the village near the stream.
Move along, citizens. Move along. There's nothing to see here.
If that's what you call nothing to see, I'd like to know what something to see looks like.
By the keys of St. Peter, this is all I need. We'll have to send word to Sir Hanush.
That might not be necessary.
Who are you?
I'm Henry of Skalitz, in the service of Hanush's captain Bernard. I'm investigating the attack at Neuhof, and I think this could be related.
Well, I'm the bailiff of Auschwitz. And I say we don't want any of that kind of trouble around here. What makes you think this has anything to do with Neuhof?
One of the folk at the stud farm recognized someone from Auschwitz among the bandits.
We have no bandits or murderers around here.
Really? They say he had a limp?
Shit. Well, allow me to introduce you to Limpy Lubosz. Or all that's left of him.
Sacre. Nothing's ever easy. I'll have to take a look around and ask a few more questions, if that's all right with you.
You can take this mess off my hands and welcome to it. As for what else there is to find out, I don't know. But look and ask all you like.
When did you find the body? And did anyone see anything?
Just now. And nobody saw or heard anything. I don't know how they could gut him like that without someone hearing him scream.
Who was Limpy Lubosz?
A poor crofter and a scoundrel. Can't say I'm too surprised what happened to him. He kept company with all sorts of vermin. He was always getting into some kind of trouble. Punch-ups in the tavern and what have you.
How come he limped?
He got that from some villainy or brawl a long time ago.
Has he been up to anything suspicious lately?
I don't know. The last few days he didn't go anywhere. He was home the whole time. But he always kept everyone in the village at arm's length.
Did he have any kith or kin in the village?
None. A loner he was. I don't know the last time I saw him with anyone.
Do you happen to know where he was on the night of the Neuhof raid?
I've no idea. He kept his distance from other folk, so you never knew if he was away or holed up at home.
What's this? Looks like someone's hit him very hard on the head. Could they have bludgeoned him to death and then gutted him? That would explain why he didn't scream. Lord above, they did a hell of a job on him. Must have been agony. How come no one heard anything? Judas. Looks like this is meant to be a warning. But for who? And why? Maybe the gang had a falling out. But a bandit who knows how to write isn't something you see every day.
Just like that. Well, I heard about him. He's a right skinflint. And what did Betty have to say?
Well, she was well pleased, as you can imagine. Even more when I told her Tonda will take
I've come in the name of Sir Hanush of Lipa. I'm investigating the massacre in Neuhof, and now a murder here as well. Can I ask you a few questions?
Ask away.
Who was this Lubosz who was murdered?
He was a drunkard and a beast. And lazy, too. Idle hands are the devil's tools.
Have you noticed anything suspicious recently?
The only thing seemed suspicious was how a rogue like him suddenly started going to church. Now I see why, of course.
Do you know what Lubosz was doing the day Neuhof was raided?
What do I care about that scoundrel? I was glad he stayed out of my way.
Do you know who Lubosz used to spend time with? Kin or friends?
He was always a loner. Except lately he started talking to the parish priest of all people.
That's all. Thank you.
My respects to you.
Any work going here?
Enough for a dozen men. You could take the place of that useless stable hand Vashek for a start.
What happened? Did he do something wrong?
Just found out that he lost our pie.
Lost it where? In his stomach?
No, Pie was our fastest stallion. A lovely dappled one.
Oh. Well, that's bad news. How did Vashek manage to lose him?
He fell, banged his head, and the horse bolted. Can you fathom it? A stable hand falling off a horse. And then Pie took off at a gallop.
Well, I can't take Vashek's job, but I can try to find your pie.
That would be nice of you. If there's anything you need to know, ask that fool. I was too livid to even speak to him.
Right.
I've come in the name of Sir Hanush of Lipa. I'm investigating the massacre in Neuhof, and now a murder here as well. Can I ask you a few questions?
Of course. Ask away.
Do you know anyone Lubosz used to spend time with? Relatives or friends?
He was a loner. He didn't even have any mates in the tavern.
Have you noticed anything suspicious recently?
Well, now I think of it, I hadn't seen him around for a while. No idea where he was skulking.
That man Lubosz who was murdered, what was he like?
He was a drunk who was always looking for a fight. Nobody liked him much. But I wouldn't wish an end like that on any man.
Do you know what Lubosz was doing the day Neuhof was raided?
Not a clue.
That's all. Thank you.
Good day to you.
I've come in the name of Sir Hanush of Lipa. I'm investigating the massacre in Neuhof, and now a murder here as well. Can I ask you a few questions?
I don't know nothing about it, but ask all you want.
Do you know anyone Lubosz used to spend time with? Relatives or friends?
Not with anyone from the village. He used to sit in the tavern next to us sometimes, but he never said much.
That's all. Thank you.
How's the head?
So even strangers know my shame. Come on, then. Come and take a closer look at Waszek the Blockhead.
I'm not here to mock.
So what is it you want?
I promised the head groom that I'd look for pie.
Well, good luck with that. I've been searching half the day. Although I have been seeing double ever since that bang on the head. So it's possible I missed something.
Can you describe pie for me?
Long face. 4 legs.
Well, that should narrow it down. Does he have any distinguishing features? Like a colour, for instance?
Sorry, he's a dappled grey, a stallion, and he's really fast. Though that won't help you much.
Quite the opposite. Where did you fall off, Pie?
Just south of here. Between the fields and the woods, there's a crossroads where 4 paths meet. It was around there.
4 paths? So we could have gone anywhere.
Now you see my problem.
When was that?
In the morning. Then I staggered about for a while, feeling as rough as a boar's ass. I was glad to stagger back here in the end.
This could be from Pie. Ah, still fresh. This could be from Pie.
Jesus Christ be praised.
Have you seen a horse running loose? A dappled grey?
I have indeed. Or at least I did see a riderless horse gallop through here. It went too fast for me to be sure of the color.
Where did you see him?
A short distance down the road there's a brook. I was there fetching water when that horse gave me the fright of my life.
And where did he run onto?
Well, he splashed about and then ran upstream into the woods.
Much obliged.
My pleasure. Good luck in your search.
Don't come any closer to that horse, you hear me?
My respects to you.
I'm afraid this horse is a runaway from the Ujit stables. You can't have it.
Fuck off! I don't care where he escaped from. Go find your own horse.
Leave him be and get out of here.
Or what?
Or I'll rearrange your face for you.
You can try, you cocky bastard.
Do you have any work that needs doing?
My dear lad, I have more worries than I can bear. Another pair of shoulders would ease my burden. I have to deal with a local witch.
A witch?
The herb woman, old Gertrude. That devious hag who will stoop to anything. Like all herbalists, for that matter.
Oh, don't tell me. The cows are giving blood instead of milk. and babies are being born with 2 heads and a tail.
This is no laughing matter. Gertrude isn't evil. She just has peculiar ideas about what's good for people. A little bird told me she incited some Ujet's women to witchery.
A little bird told you, did it?
You know how good people are at seeing the splinter in another's eye and not the beam in their own.
In other words, someone's been gossiping. And what's the problem?
As long as herb women stick to giving psychic to folk and bloated cows, assisting in childbirth, or burning incense in bedrooms to help with sleep, then nothing at all. But this is sacrilege, and it's unsafe. All sorts of molds and lichens and poisonous plants and other foul things go into those concoctions. I'd hate to see her poison some poor gullible lass.
What do you want me to do?
I want you to go and see her and find out what she's been up to. I know she lives in fear of the Holy Church, so tell her I sent you. That will make her talk and think twice about encouraging witchcraft. If you learn that she truly did involve folk in some foolishness, find out all you can and deal with it.
Consider it done.
Good. And never fear. I'm a man who always pays his debts. You'll find Gertrude, the old herb woman, in the woods.
Good health to you.
The blessings of our good Lord be with you, Father. I'm here in the name of Sir Hanush of Lipa, investigating the massacre at Neuhof, which seems to be connected to a murder here. Can I ask you a few questions?
It seems Sir Hanush is employing children as investigators. But ask as you wish, boy. I hope this nasty business will be cleared up quickly.
Did you know Lubosz? What was he like?
A bit of a lost soul. Simple, rough fellow, but at heart I don't think he was such a bad person.
Did you notice anything suspicious recently?
My child, all sorts of suspicious things have been going on recently. People like Lubosz don't know what to do about it, and sometimes they do stupid things.
That's really not a lot of help to me, Father.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Do you know what Lubosz was doing on the day Neuhof was raided?
Unfortunately, I do know. And I'd like to help you with your investigation, but I can't.
What?
I'm bound by certain vows that forbid me to tell you.
Vows more important than catching dangerous murderers?
There are laws of God above the laws of man's son, and one of those is the sanctity of the confessional.
Father, surely you can't be serious. There must be situations in which you can make an exception.
There are things that apply always, no matter what the circumstances, and this is one of them.
But Lubosz is dead. You can't hurt him, but if you don't tell me, more innocent people may die.
If I told you, I would be betraying a vow that's a cornerstone of the Holy Church. If people believed the sanctity of the confessional couldn't be trusted, the consequences would be even worse than that.
Worse than the death of innocent Christians? Worse than the murderer escaping punishment?
No one escapes punishment.
Father, Lubosz was my only lead to the Neuhof raiders. Only he could tell me who was responsible for that massacre. If I don't find out who it was, it will probably happen again. Surely you wouldn't want that.
I wouldn't. But I can't betray the sanctity of the confessional. I'll tell you what. Give me some time and I'll try to think up some way of helping you. Suppose we talk it over in the evening, in the tavern, over a cup of good wine. Maybe we'll come up with something.
All right. Thank you, Father.
Jesus Christ be praised.
I found pie for you.
Dear God! What a relief! Between ourselves, he was none too cheap. I don't know what I'd have done if he was gone for good. Here's something for your trouble.
Thank you. Just try not to lose him again.
We'll do our best.
I've come in the name of Sir Hanish of Lipa. I'm investigating the massacre in Neuhof, and now a murder here as well. Can I ask you a few questions?
Ask all you want, lad.
Have you noticed anything suspicious recently?
Everything about him was suspicious. I always gave him a wide berth.
Do you know who Lubosz used to spend time with? Kin or friends?
I don't know, since I don't go to alehouses.
That's all. Thank you.
I've come from the priest. They're saying you incited some women to witchcraft.
Me? Witchcraft? That's nothing but idle chatter.
Don't you know that witches get burned alive?
There's no need for trouble. I'll tell you everything. I've done a very foolish thing. It's preying on my mind so much I can't sleep a wink.
But I'm supposed to believe an old witch has pangs of conscience.
Laugh if you like, but it's not a word of a lie. You probably know I sell various magic lotions and potions alongside my herbs. Well, there's one I wish I hadn't sold. You see, Vera, Zlata, and Kuta from Uzhitz wanted a magic ointment from me. I kept refusing them, but in the end I let them talk me into it.
What kind of ointment was it?
One that will show you a world no one else can see, a place of wonder and terror. The flowers might start talking to you, or the earth could swallow you up. I don't know if it's the work of the devil or of God himself, but the ointment has that power. But it could poison any person who doesn't know how to use it right.
So all this talk of witches anointing themselves and then flying to their sabbaths on broomsticks...
The ointment could make a person see such things. But it was stupid of me letting those foolish women get their hands on it. They could poison themselves or fall off a cliff while they're lost in a dream.
Will you give me the ointment recipe?
It contains belladonna and the herb Paris, both quite poisonous plants. That ought to make you think twice about dabbling with it.
So why did you give them the ointment at all?
Because I'm soft-hearted. You see, one of those women, Vera, lost her whole family in Skalitz. And Zlata's husband was killed. And the youngest of them, Kuta, miscarried with the horror of it all. They said they wanted to use the ointment to speak with the dead and ask them to put a word in with the Lord.
Yeah. I understand how they feel. But I reckon it'll get them nowhere but the ducking stool and the stake.
Judge not, lest ye be judged. I didn't want to give them the ointment, but they offered me a pile of groschen. So I thought how desperate they must be, and I heard their plea.
Their plea, or the clink of their coin? And why are you so worried about them all of a sudden? What changed your mind?
I'm losing sleep over it. Firstly, those women don't know what they're doing. And secondly, folk might see it as witchcraft. And do you know what they do to witches?
They burn them alive.
That they do. So don't be surprised I'm worried.
It didn't bother you before, though. What did they want the ointment for?
Each one of them lost a loved one recently, and it's grieving them. They wanted to talk with the dead.
I've heard enough.
If you've heard enough, you must understand why I need your help. Find out from those women what they intend, and watch over them to keep them safe.
Very well. But only because the priest himself asked me to.
Thank you 1,000-fold. I'll go to the Reverend myself and explain. You take care of those women. God bless.
I heard something about a magic ointment that you got from the herb woman.
You heard that where? And what business is it of yours?
The herb woman sent me.
Gertrude? What does she want? Haven't we paid her enough?
She'd like to know just what you're planning to do with it. She's worried about you.
What made her change her tune? You can tell her we plan to do exactly what we agreed, and not to worry.
I've heard something about a magical ointment.
Really? I'd like to know where from. And what concern is it of yours, anyway?
The priest is worried.
The priest? It's nice to find out what telltales you have for neighbours. But believe me, it's none of your business. Or the priest's.
I don't quite know what's going on, but I'll find out by hook or by crook. So start talking.
Only a herbal ointment, some chanting, and 3 women at night in the woods. No harm done to anyone. Maybe some help to some. So why don't you stop interfering?
I've heard something about a magical ointment.
What? Who told you that? Was someone asking around?
It might interest the priest.
The priest? Who's been telling him stories? Does he know about us?
What I've heard already amounts to a burning offence.
Wait. Really?
If someone buys witching ointment, what am I supposed to think they want it for? Let me take a wild guess. Witchcraft. And witches deserve to burn.
We're doing no wrong. We go to the woods alone, at night, and we hurt no one. I won't say any more. You might twist it against us.
The blessings of our Lord be...
And with you, lad. Take a seat.
All right, all right.
I'm sorry I can't tell you everything. But maybe we can work something out. But first I'd like to hear something about you, my son. With whom do I have the honor? Where are you from?
I'm from Skalitz.
Oh, I'm sorry. What about your kin?
They're dead.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Here, we'll drink to them. It must have been terrible.
It was terrible. It seemed so pointless. We had no warning. They just appeared and began the slaughter. God knows why. They killed anyone who didn't make it to the shelter of the castle. My parents, my girl, even the Deutsch who was on Sigismund's side. I didn't make it to the castle. I wanted to try and help my parents, but there was nothing I could do. Then I fled to Talmberg with the Cumans on my heels. They almost killed me. They slaughtered people in the surrounding villages. There was a pile of bodies in front of the church in Rovna. Folk who tried to take refuge there, but they...
My poor child. May God grant them eternal rest. And how did you come to get this assignment? I'd have expected Sir Hanish to send that old grouch, Bernard.
He did, but I found a witness and the trail led here to Ujitz, so he sent me here to follow it up.
Ah, well, congratulations. It's nice to see someone using their head to find things out instead of torture. We'll have to drink to that. Now the most important thing. What actually happened at Neuhof? The good folks hereabout are saying all kinds of terrible things, but I take most of it with a pinch of salt.
The rumours aren't exaggerated this time, unfortunately. The Neuhof stud farm was raided by bandits, but they didn't come to pillage or even take the horses. They only wanted to kill. They maimed the horses and slaughtered some people. I'm sure they would have killed more, but the bandits quarrelled among themselves and broke off the attack.
One ale, please.
And judging by what's left of our LUBOSZ, they're still settling accounts.
I see it's every bit as bad as people claimed. Dreadful. Well then, here's to those poor souls who had to die so pointlessly and so terribly.
I've told you all about me. Now it's your turn, Father. You don't look much like our parish priest at home. Well, we've had an agreeable chat, but now let's get down to business. So, about this confessional seal. Do you really want more innocent people to die?
Henry, that's not how it works. There are matters in which you can't make exceptions because if you do it once, you'll forever be tempted to do it again. If people stop believing in the church because their confessional secrets are betrayed, they won't trust anyone, and that's worse than even the most hideous crime.
I understand, but that means I've reached a dead end. Those cutthroats will strike again, and I can't stop them.
Chin up, lad. I might have a solution.
What?
If I tell you what LUBOSZ told me, I'd be betraying the confessional secret. But, first thing tomorrow, I'll try something I think might help you.
Word of honor?
On my soul.
I always wondered about the things a priest tells his congregation. Where on earth do you get the ideas for your sermons?
Well, Ujits isn't Prague. It's not enough to instruct people. They have to be entertained, too. If I only read from the Bible, I'd soon be preaching to an empty church.
Our priest wasn't exactly a bard. So what do you preach to your flock about?
It has to be something topical. Condemning vices. And, of course, describing them in detail. A tongue-lashing about the two popes goes down well these days. And stories from real life, with a nice moral to them, are popular as well. Especially if they're about fornication and similar scandalous vices.
Can you give me an example?
Well, recently a priest by the name of Jan Hus started preaching in Prague, in the Czech language, and the people liked it. I hear he always has a full house. A journeyman who heard him told me what Hus is preaching, and I like the sound of it. I'm thinking about putting it in my own repertoire.
What's so amazing about it?
The preaching of Master Jan Hus about Mother Church. The lamentable wealth in which the church is drowning has turned to poison. And nearly the whole of Christendom is contaminated. Just like a flock of hungry ravens, they settled on this land to devour every grain of gold and silver. They know no mercy. Their hearts are corrupted by longing for wealth, and they shamelessly profit from everything. You want to baptize a child? Pay. You want to steal and murder? Pay and you will have absolution. What if the devil himself were to pay? Would he ascend to heaven too? With such money gained from the poor, they buy beautiful horses to ride and needless servants to pamper them. They gamble at dice and dress their whores in expensive furs, while Jesus Christ walked barefoot and had no place to lay his head. Look to your consciences, you robbers of the poor, for you are seen by God and his people too. Amen.
Well, this Jan Hus character is quite a rebel.
Oh, the congregation will love it.
I don't doubt it.
Let's drink to that.
Funny. That last bit reminds me of someone.
What do you mean? My situation's completely different. Huth preaches against the prelates and the clerics who are robbing the poor. Look at me. I don't have a pot to piss in. I'm no better off than the folk I preach to. I'm one with them in poverty and suffering and everything that troubles them. I drink with them and curse those stuffed habits in Sasau Monastery.
Where can I find out more about his teachings?
You like it? I copied down some of his sermons. If you're interested, you can read them at my presbytery.
What do you think of this Jan Hus?
He's certainly a wise man. A little overzealous for my taste. If he got out of Prague and came here for a look, I'm sure he'd stop condemning drinking and lying with women.
What do the common folk think of it?
They like it. They're happy to hear someone say what they think themselves, but are afraid to say aloud. Things that make them angry. And they're calling for change. In a few years, it'll have grown beyond control. You mark my words, the people will rise up and the church will be shaken to its very foundations.
Yeah, unless they burn him at the stake first.
Nonsense. They can't burn a master of the most respected university in Europe.
Hail as usual.
Don't you think it's a bit odd when someone boozes and lives in sin with a woman and then criticises the Pope for debauchery?
No, I don't.
Thanks for the sermon, but I think I've been morally uplifted enough. Oh, it's getting quite late. What are your plans, Father?
What do you suppose? We have a drink, of course.
Ah, that sounds like a good plan.
I knew you wouldn't let me down.
Przyszła bida mora lat, to nie ustoi żadnej. Na kraj panuje swej smutek, godnielo i rano utek, niech już małżeński majstak, do wczera żylne staje prak. Už sejmoj svatý muži, nechtěl bych bejmě jich muži. Nám je to jedno a tak si dáme jedno a požerem si huby jako poslední jen. Budeme se bavit a pak vypal sudy a posaď se mi sem. Tak posaď se sem a vypal je ven. Ukaž kozy jako vozy, zítra jen tu jsou nejdem, tak nalej mi hned, až točí se svět. Ty dneska vůbec nikdo neví zase. Enough of this! Bailiff! Come on over here, sit down and have a drink with us.
Don't vex me again, Father. It's 3 hours past dusk, and curfew is long gone.
So what?
So, I'll have you all whipped and put in the stocks, and I'll write a letter to the bishop about you, priest.
Well, nothing to worry about then. Everyone knows the only one around here who can write is me.
Enough! Men, throw them out.
Oh, come on. You looking for a fight? Henry, back me up.
You're dead.
Go on then, bailiff. Go! It's a sin to fight so badly. Thou shalt not hurt thy neighbor, fucker. Are you gonna cry now? It's a sin to fight.
What are you doing, creeping around like a footpad? Everyone has to carry a light. By law.
I'll bring it right away. God's sake,
Henry. Faster. You'll get your... So, my dear, wouldn't you like to have a little ring on the bell? No sooner said than done.
I'd love to. And Henry, too, I'm sure. Right, Henry?
Stop that nonsense, Godwin. Are you out of your mind? What will people say?
They can say what they like. What do I care? What do they do to me? Watch the step, my dear. Careful, you don't hurt yourself.
Godwin, you're a buffoon.
Here we are. Look at this beauty.
Oh. We can't do this, can we?
Who says? Get ringing, wench.
This is wonderful.
Ah, bloody hell. And now, my dears, comes the climax of the evening.
Godwin, you old goat.
Come here. Oh.
The priest has mounted up. What do you say, Henry? Shall we take a little ride of our own?
Are you serious? What is it?
Well, I have to say that was a fine evening.
Godwin, you beast! Get up! Do you hear me? Wake up, you drunkards!
Oh, fucking hell. Where the... Oh, what the... Oh, who the hell are you? Oh, Henry. My great friend, Henry. Didn't we have a wonderful time?
Well, you certainly did, you old lecher. Now you better pull yourself together quick. You haven't much time. There's some water and something to eat on the table there, but if I were you, I would move my hairy arse before my flock eats me alive.
Oh, step on in my head. My guts. Oh, my poor suffering stomach. Oh, what was that woman on about? Before my flock eats me alive. I've forgotten something. What have I forgotten?
Where the fuck am I?
What the fuck was it? Oh. Mass! Oh shit, I have to say mass. I gotta say mass. You have to help me.
How? You're the priest.
I can't do it in this state. Maybe the liturgy. But I have to give a sermon as well. Oh, this is a disaster. They're gonna excommunicate me. I'd like to help you, but you can. You can do the sermon for me.
What? So, first I investigate a murder no one wants investigated. Then I drunkenly keep the whole town up all night. And now you want me to preach at them from the pulpit? Do you want them to burn us at the stake?
No. No, I've got it. Suppose that Sir Ratzig's protege. You just came from studying in Prague. And you want to share the words of Master Jan Hus, who you recently heard preaching there. Henry, look, from what I remember, we might have overdone it a bit last night. And if the bailiff or someone else complains about me, the bishop's gonna have my guts for garters. So I'd appreciate it if you stopped gaping at me like a stuffed squirrel and start helping.
You're mad. You're stark raving mad.
I'm not. It's a perfect plan. It's flawless. Oh. How about this? If you help me with this, I'll tell you who Lubosz's cronies are.
Well, all right. But I can't make any promises about what'll happen.
No, neither can I.
What do you want me to do, exactly?
I'll go and start the liturgy. Then I'll introduce you. You give the sermon I told you yesterday in the tavern, and that's that. No need to drag it out. If it turns out well, I'll tell you what I know about LUBOSZ.
Christ almighty. Fine then. We have a deal.
Wonderful. Let's get to it then.
Hey!
I thought he'd never show up. The swill pole.
Look at him. He can hardly walk after his capers last night.
You were with them, you beast. Just you wait. Look at him. Mother of God, any minute now he'll throw up.
Animals, I couldn't sleep a wink last night with all that clamor.
In nomine Patris, et Filii, et Spiritus Sancti. Amen. Accepit panem in sanctas at venerabiles a manus suas. Hac facite in meam commemorationem. Brothers and sisters, you may have had the honor of meeting Henry from Skalitz, who is here at the behest of Sir Hanush to investigate that heinous crime at Neuhof. You might not know that Henry recently visited Prague, where, by the grace of God, was able to hear Master Jan Hus from the esteemed Charles University preaching. I've managed to persuade Henry to stand here today in my stead and tell us what he heard. Because, as you all probably know, Jan Hus is a very popular preacher in Prague. So, Henry, you may begin.
Now I'm curious which one of them will puke first.
Brothers and sisters in Christ, I would like to talk to you about our Holy Mother Church and what iniquities it's declining into.
Boy has a cheek.
Creation has given to every man the power by which he might rule the whole world. But that power does not give him the right to rule. That right belongs to God alone. It is the corruption of God's pastors here on earth that has brought misfortune on our heads. Plague, humans, hunger, and chaos. The accursed wealth that the church is drowning in is poisoning almost the whole of Christendom. When dogs are fighting over a bone, take the bone and they will stop. Just like the flock of ravens that has descended on this land to peck up every speck of gold and silver.
They show no mercy. Their hearts are poisoned by covetousness. They trade everything. Everything is for sale. You want to baptize a child? Pay. You want to steal and murder? Pay, and you will have absolution. And the prelates sin and give themselves absolution.
For shame! Shame upon them!
It is the custom of the gluttonous prelates and monks to preach against sin. But what do they know of us ordinary folk? Let us remember the marriage at Cana, where our Lord Jesus Christ himself feasted with the other guests and drank his fill. And when the wine was gone, he performed a miracle and created more. He, whose companions were poor travellers, simple folk, prostitutes and troublemakers, performed a miracle so the feast could continue.
Now that's the kind of sermon I like to hear.
No, brothers and sisters. Jesus did not condemn alcohol. Drink to lighten the cross you bear in this vale of tears, but not with such abandon that you cannot keep holy the Sabbath. For there should be moderation in all things, and it is not drinking itself that is sinful, but intemperance and beastly indulgence.
He's right!
Enough about sin, which the prelates are so fond of preaching about, and whose absolution they promise if you only pay enough coin to Mother Church. What if the devil himself were to pay? Will the bishops tell us he too would ascend to heaven? And what about those bishops? They sin without remorse, and with the money grasped from the poor for indulgences, they keep fine horses and hordes of servants to pamper them. They play dice and garb their mistresses in expensive furs, while Christ, the Lamb of God, walked barefoot and had nowhere to lay his head. Look to your consciences, you robbers of the poor, for you are seen by God and his people too.
Down with the prelates. Away with them.
We're fortunate to have our good father Godwin. At least he's a fair and simple man.
God sees what is happening on earth, and he is filled with righteous wrath that those who should seek the salvation of souls instead seek mammon and the idle comfort of lucrative posts. Blessed are the shepherds who share the poverty of their flock, who are as one with you and bear with you the burden of this earthly pilgrimage, who do not condemn your venial sins.
Oi! All honour to Godwin! Let him drink like one of us!
That is all I heard in Prague. Amen.
The lad spoke well, considering what a soak he is.
He's right, that huss.
The young man shouldn't drink so much, but the Lord's given him a silver tongue.
Came here. I don't suppose I'll ever get to Prague, and he told it nicely.
Well, well, my boy, you have talent, and I can't deny it. And you pulled a thorn from my side. I almost didn't make it.
Yeah, I noticed. And I wasn't the only one.
Oh, what's to be done? I'll make it up somehow.
So, about our bargain.
Although it's a sin.
So is gluttony. And fornication.
God does forgive a penitent.
So, what did Limpy Lubosz tell you? Was he at Neuhof that day? Who was with him? And where are they now?
Now slow down. I'm sorry, but he didn't tell me that much.
Don't let me down after all I've been through. For you...
Well, now Lubosz came to me shortly after it happened. His conscience was gnawing at him. And I must say, in the end, he turned out to be a better man than he looked. He said they'd been hired through some crony of theirs. And at first they were just to steal some horses. But then it all turned sour and people started getting killed. And neither he nor his cronies wanted anything to do with that. So they fell out from the gang and fled.
Fell out? Yeah, there was a body found in the woods by Neuhof.
That would explain something. Lubosz kept jabbering that he wasn't a murderer, that he didn't want to do it.
So I know that Lubosz killed the murderer and he's dead too. The trouble is, I need to find the ones who are still alive. I need names and places. Did he mention any of the others?
Only nicknames. Talked about some fella called Riki from Ledechko, Pius,
Timmy?
Pious. That lot are about as pious as I am ordained.
Nonsense. You would make an excellent priest. And anyhow, with your skills, you ought to be able to sniff out this Riki from Ledechko, right?
Well, we'll have to now. There's not much else to go on. Let's hope he's not hanging from the wall, too.
Indeed. And I'd hate to be excommunicated for nothing. Anyhow, good luck. You watch out for yourself. These people clearly mean business. And I'd like to raise a tankard with you again sometime.
Yeah, I'll try. Although I'm not sure I'd survive another night of your debauchery.
And if anyone should ask, you heard nothing from me. I'll deny everything.
I don't doubt it.
We're here. We all know what to do, don't we?
I'm not altogether sure. Gertrude didn't want to say anything about that. So all we know is what we can
Send pestilence on all the humans. I'm coming to meet you. Lord of Darkness, we are here. Come unto us. What? Lord of Darkness? What's going on out there? What are you doing there? Lord of Darkness.
Who is it?
Plague upon them and their families, Lord God.
I hear someone coming. Who's there? Is it you, Kuta?
No, I'm still over here.
What's going on here?
Welcome, Prince of Darkness. And make yourself at home.
What would you like us to do? We will fulfill your every wish if you fulfill ours.
Prince of Darkness? What in God's name are you babbling about?
Why are you testing us?
Testing you? Jesus Christ, what have you been smearing on yourselves?
A magic ointment from the herb woman? We are ready to pleasure you, Lord. In return, all we ask is that you rid us of the humans. And if you won't rid us of them, then help us get away from here. Give us riches, so we can start a new life in the city.
I'll give you anything you ask.
I knew it. Thank you, my lord.
In return, you'll have to... Shit. I feel very weird.
Oh, that ointment. You smeared the ointment on me.
Fear not, my lord. Nothing will happen to you. It's all part of the ceremony.
Oh, shit. What the fuck? What did you do to me?
Are you quite well after your long journey?
Huh? Long journey? What?
From the gates of hell to here. When will you take care of the humans? And why don't you have horns and hooves and a goat's tail, like the priest said?
I flew in on a tree branch. It took no time at all.
Flying on a branch? Will you teach us how to do that too? We are your maidservants now. We'll do anything you wish.
How come you're a talking mare?
What mare? Does your sight deceive you? I'm Vera, and I turned many a young man's head in Ujits.
I got rid of my horns and hooves along the way, and I keep my tail in my breeches. I only get it out for special occasions.
I hope there'll be one soon enough.
Actually, I wanted something else.
What's that, oh Lord?
Will you serve me and do all I tell you to?
Oh yes, our Lord of Hellfire. We'll do whatever you want. Just rid us of those wretched humans. Which one will you take first?
Me! Take me!
No, me!
And what about the other one? Why doesn't she speak up?
Kuta, you chicken! Speak up!
I want you, Mare. Vera.
I knew it. Come on, come closer to me.
That was tough. Oh, but I'm all dizzy again.
What is wrong with you? Is something going to come of it or not?
I need to sleep.
Bugger sleep! What was that? What is it? Someone coming!
Doing here? Tired of life, are you?
I see you know how to wield a sword, Father. I wouldn't have expected that from a man of the cloth.
With a stick. I practiced with a stick. A reminder of my youth and days gone by, and it helps keep me in good form.
I found out more about the Ujits witchcraft.
Pray, do tell.
The women have got hold of some magic lotion from the herb woman, and they're using it to summon the devil.
For the love of heaven.
I followed them to where they held their Sabbath. They summoned the devil, danced around a fire.
Oh my God, what else?
The women were completely out of their minds from that ointment. Then some woodcutters stormed in. They wanted to put a stop to the witch's Sabbath.
Good God. And what happened?
I had to kill the woodcutters to save those women from them.
For Christ's sake! How could you? Such needless slaughter! Those men meant well. Was there no other way to stop the bloodshed?
The woodcutters were beside themselves with rage, baying for the women's blood. There was no reasoning with them.
There must have been another way.
I did everything I could.
The good Lord observes your deeds. Pray for the souls of those unfortunate Christians. Pray, because you have blood on your hands. At least you see where dancing with the devil can take you. Pray for their loved ones and for your soul and mine, because we share the blame. And now please, go. Leave me alone to pray.